Hey there. Um, Back on self-care. Um, I think I want to start. I'm trying to be more consistent with my videos, um, and just speaking from the heart as a cisgender black man in America. And I think well, obviously, we're in a very interesting time. We're in a time of flux and a time where I think technology and the tech world is being realized for what it is, the power that it is, and it has a lot of power there. So and I think we can see that social media, we are more connected, we are talking, we are more distracted, we are more stressed out, or have new stresses, things that we didn't think about in the 70s, 80s, early 90s, and then just seeing where we are now. And I realize that I'm coming from a perspective of maybe a threshold. I was born in 79. So I'm coming from a perspective that when I was a kid, there was no internet. I remember the first revolutionary piece of technology was pagers, where someone could page you out and about, and you go to a payphone and call them back. And I know that sounds funny, but that was the reality. So I remember that time. I remember pre-internet, and I remember then having the internet and seeing how powerful it was, but not really knowing what to do with it. And I think the millennials really did know what to do with it, or really just being innovative. And I think you look at tech and social media and apps, and probably cannabis are the things that are going to economically define us. But I think about other black men my age and our connection with millennials and the group below us, and I think there's a divide there. And then interacting with white people in the world. And I think interacting on an interpersonal level, and then interacting on a bigger, the systemic may not be the right word, but just there's things that whiteness and the white world and technology is going to affect our lives going forward in a very specific way. And I think it's good to talk about it now and to be aware and to really be cognizant of what's coming, just with technology. And you have things like Uber and Lyft and DoorDash and Uber Eats and all these app services that bring good services to us directly with a click click on hitting a button on our phone. And it's a very rich time. And so it's creating certain jobs, and then I think with robotic cars, it will eliminate a lot of the driving jobs. I know a lot of men of color do truck driving, and a lot of people who do truck driving. And just seeing that industry, I think, is going to be hit really hard with automated cars and just so many things I think are going to be hit. And I think it's really important for people of color. I think the group, if I can just categorize it, and I'm speaking from the heart, so if I exclude a group, it's not on purpose. I'm just going for the heart, and that's why I want this video series to be in my channel, to be on YouTube, is a talk from the heart as a black man in America in 2019 with a Trump administration in office, and what that does and what that feels like. I look at this as a documentation. And I do it during my my bath time, where I'm soaking at the end of the day and just taking care of myself. And some days are days that I've had a hard day being black in America. Some days are better than others. But I want to just talk from the heart, and I want to just express, and some just as a documentation historically of real time of what it's like here. My biggest concern here is that I drop my phone in the water, because then I'm done. So I want to be cognizant of that. But I think just with the groups, so the groups of people black men my age and black women my age, that age where we were on the threshold of technology, and we, I feel like we didn't know what to do with the internet. We were just using it, and we were so used to being told what to do. And then millennials come on, or the next group. I feel like there's Generation X, Generation Y, Generation Z. I've even heard. I don't even know what all those titles mean. But the groups below us, the younger than us, our children, I think they picked up social media and technology and just ran with it. And because they had no preconceived, they weren't on the threshold of this technological revolution, they had no preconceived rules or like no inhibitions or just holding back, hesitation to just take it to this level. And yes, you have online bullying, and you have different stresses that they care about, and people and they're dealing with people that are very sensitive and soft and communicate, and people crack jokes about that. But I believe that both groups bring great value, and if we can bridge a gap between both groups, I think is going to be a great utility going forward with the face of in the face of Silicon Valley. I feel like Silicon Valley, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Facebook, and all these tech companies have potential to bring great good to the world. However, I think they have potential to be a great danger to people of color, people in the queer, LGBT, trans, that whole group. And I'm sorry if I get the acronyms. I'm not used to saying them, so I don't even have them stuck in my head. But your group, my queer folks, my gay folks, lesbian. I feel like they have the potential of inadvertently, not even just, but I feel like we can be targeted, even though we're two separate groups. My group, that threshold of the internet and technology revolution, folks that were born like in 1979, and then the ones that were born in the 90s and 2000s, early 2000s, I feel like there's a level of vulnerability if we don't engage with technology, understand it, and understand social media. And I think really we have really good tools to guard from that. And I think the tools are the actual social media, as in creating a following, creating brands, creating blogs, vlogs, creating content, creating your art, whatever that is. And I'm a visual artist. I paint, I draw, I sing, I write, I do poetry, I write songs, I design things, I perform, I even have comedy that I write. I have not put it out to the world, but I do write it. I've been working on it for the last couple of years. But I want to think even beyond that, just creativity. And I think that because if you are considered yourself in 2019 in a marginalized group, I think you have an advantage to use great levels of creativity. If I can talk to the millennials, go further. Be more innovative, more creative, more outside the box. Don't let anybody tell you shit, right? Don't let them tell you jack shit about how to live your life. Let the code be for living your life. Let that code be yours that you create, and let it be one that takes care of you and that honors you and that helps you walk in your power. Because the more power you have, or the more awareness of your power, or buy into your personal power as a person of color, a person in any marginalized group in America right now, I think the better off you, the less chances of being a victim you'll be. I just, my mind goes to intentional living, like just scenarios like that, just scenarios where there are alternatives with ways to live, because the model that's sold to us, I think for everybody in America, was go to high school, graduate, get good grades so you can get into a good college, get scholarships or student loans or whatever, where you could find someone in college and then marry them and then buy a house, have 2.5 kids, both have good jobs, have 2 cars, have and be able to go home for Thanksgiving and make your parents feel comfortable. That day, There's a lot of that. I think that will always continue. I don't know any numbers on that. But me personally, just my exposure to the public, and I'm overexposed in the work that I do. I get a huge swash of the public and what people are doing. So I see a lot of that kind of traditional living. But I'm interested in the brown and black people, in the queer, the LGBT community. LGBTQ. I think Q is in there too, right? So again, forgive me. I mean, no offense. I just don't have these acronyms memorized. So please bear with me on this. I feel like we have a vulnerable spot to be targeted if we don't fully embrace and fully commit to alternative living by the food we eat, where we buy food from. And this is going to take organization. This is going to take resources. This is going to take time. But I think it's really good to start the conversation and to start just really kind of state, maybe draw your line in the sand, not in an aggressive way, is not what I'm trying to say, but just really be clear that certain systems do not work for you. If we can maybe index it like this. Every city in America, every major city, was not built for you, a person of color. So the resource, even places that have resource centers, and they're like, I talked to a lady the other day, like yesterday, I'm sorry, that her husband got shot and killed out here in Washington. And she told me the whole story. What I was amazed at was how I wasn't surprised at how strong she was, because she was a person of color and she just took it. And I'm just going, that's not even normal. But I get it, because I come from that. Being black, you take shit that, you take death and you just walk with death. So, but she was talking about how that there was a group or some government agency or something that helped her financially, because her husband left her, he got killed, and now she has to pay for an apartment and that kid and all this stuff, and her world is just ripped apart and destroyed, and she's just trying to hold the pieces and figure out which way to go. There are programs out there, but they aren't good enough, and they never have been good enough, and they never have really cared about people of color, marginalized groups. So I really just want to start the conversation and put out in the ether the mindset of creating your own, and the mindset of community. And what I find, being a cisgendered black man, the age I'm at, I'm not a millennial, but I'm right on that age, like I said before, is that there's a lack of community. And it to me, I find it very laborsome to make a community. But you really need community. So I think our biggest resources are our minds, and to build income and an infrastructure. And I think we want to get comfortable with being okay with running shit, like having our own shit, like running a organization that's going to support us,